Hello, this is UZREPORT World News. I'm Barnona Zarzoda. Briefly on our top news. President Shavkat Mirziyoyev chairs a meeting devoted to public health. Uzbek Central Bank announced plans to develop remote banking services. A crowdfunding campaign to plant greenery on the basin of Aral Sea gave a presentation. The public health system of Uzbekistan was on agenda of a meeting held on Wednesday in Tashkent. According to the World Health Organization, 10% of a person's overall health is supported by medication, 15% is reliant on genetics, 20% environmental factors, with a person's lifestyle being a major factor with a 55% influence. President Shavkat Mirziyoyev tasked the Ministry of Health, the Agency of Sanitary and Epidemiological Welfare, and the State Inspectorate for Sanitary and Epidemiological Surveillance to introduce a completely new system for promoting public health and a healthy lifestyle based on international best practices. Disease prevention should begin primarily in rural areas and be implemented within a holistic system, the president said.
The population of Uzbekistan is concerned about the spread of coronavirus in the world. In this regard, the Ministry of Health and the Agency for Sanitary and Epidemiological Welfare have been given additional instructions regarding the quarantine and preventive measures. Separate agency centers will be organized in regions, districts and cities. Up to 3 specialists will be allocated in rural clinics for effective implementation of this work. Shavkat Mirziyoyev gave instructions for the development of science about a healthy life and support of research institutes. These institutions should analyze the factors and causes of diseases, develop appropriate recommendations, and the agency should adopt and implement programs for each region. At the same time, the research institutions are not ready to organize this work. The system of prevention and treatment of parasitic diseases, rickets and dystrophy among children is also poorly organized. These diseases cause significant damage to the young body's immune system and make it more vulnerable to other diseases. Mirziyoyev drew attention to another important issue: the need to train specialists who will analyze the factors of morbidity and give preventive recommendations to doctors.
Currently, about 10 million individuals and more than 600,000 businesses in Uzbekistan are able to manage their current accounts remotely. At the same time, citizens can make more than 35 types of payments without visiting the bank. What measures will be taken in 2020 to develop remote banking services? This question was posed at a press conference organized by representatives of the Central Bank of Uzbekistan.
Comprehensive measures will be taken to implement the system of remote biometric identification of individuals. This will allow the bank's employees to be in constant remote dialogue with their clients. In September last year, the national systems UZCARD and HUMO were integrated with international payment systems. This helped to create a competitive environment and at the same time made it easier for foreign travelers to stay in the country. In order to develop tourism and facilitate the stay of tourists in our country, a number of changes were made. They made it possible for every foreigner to withdraw cash from their debit or credit card from any ATM or payment terminal and make all payments. Last year, on average, tourists made payments in the amount of $4.2 million. In 2020, the central bank plans to take the necessary measures to expand the types of remote services. Among them, the most important one is to create an appropriate payment mechanism based on NFC technology without using cards in retail outlets.
An automated risk management system was implemented to meet international customs standards and increase efficiency at border checks. A press conference held in Tashkent conveyed a report on the progress of the new system. My colleague has more.
With the implementation of the new risk management systems, custom checks at the borders are running more efficiently than ever. Previously, all checks were done manually, with a person physically inspecting the entire vehicle, often taking many hours. The equipment being used now redistributes resources and the workload more evenly and allows border staff to better predict and identify possible violations. In addition, digitalization reduces the time for customs procedures at border crossings and helps interagency information exchange both at the regional level and internationally.
Although we conduct a full inspection, it is impossible for an inspector to open and check every box in each carriage. After all, this will slow down or stop foreign trade. Therefore, to exercise control, the risk management system has been introduced. We have implemented a program that uses a database created by the customs authorities over the last few years. It contains information about firms that committed the greatest number of offenses, including those that smuggled goods and avoided paying duties. The program automatically processes the information specified in the customs declaration, and the customs inspector checks a batch of goods imported in a container or truck, and thus we can identify firms posing potential risks.
So how does the system work? This automated system identifies risk levels of vehicles and goods and distributes them to corresponding color-coded channels. Yellow and red indicate a high risk and an inspection is carried out. Green and blue indicate a low risk level and no inspection is necessary. The following results have been achieved since the initial implementation of the system. The paperwork processing for export now takes an average of 44 minutes instead of 2 hours, 16 minutes. For imports, what used to take almost 7 hours now takes 2 hours, 34 minutes. Additionally, an estimated 81.6 billion soms were collected in import-export taxes.
In Tashkent, the oldest part of the city will turn into a tourism zone and marketplace set in traditional Uzbek architecture and authentic historic surroundings, the press service of the President of Uzbekistan communicated. These parts of the city can be dated as far back as 15th and 16th centuries. The most notable buildings in the area are Chorsu Bazar, Hoja Ahrar Vali Mosque and Kukildash Madrasa. Unfortunately, many of the historic buildings in the city were lost due to an earthquake in 1966 that leveled most of the city. The presidential press service also indicated that construction of a new national archive has been commissioned. Currently, it stores 1,800,000 documents from various periods of history. In Uzbekistan, up until today, tickets for railway journeys could only be purchasable at the railways offices. From now on, this is no longer necessary as tickets are available for purchase online. There's also no need to print out the ticket as all you need is the QR code on your mobile device. Scanners will be implemented to read the codes and you'll be on your way. The new equipment is currently being trialed on one of Afrasiob's trains. A crowdfunding campaign to plant greenery on the basin of the Aral Sea, now the site of the Aralkum Desert, was presented. The campaign, launched by the UNDP Accelerator Laboratory in Uzbekistan in collaboration with the relevant ministries and agencies, is aimed at reducing and ultimately eradicating the fallout of ecological disaster in the region.
The Aral Sea, which has lost roughly 90% of its original volume since the 1950s, has been the subject of many revival attempts, to no avail. It is now clear that it's impossible to restore the sea to its former glory, as all previous attempts have failed. However, the consequences of the retreating waters are more critical than a water shortage. 75 million tons of toxic salts and sand are carried by the wind throughout the country, reaching as far as the Arctic Circle. The region surrounding the sea has the highest poverty rates in the country. Only half of the region's population has access to drinking water, and cases of cancer, tuberculosis, liver, and kidney failure are almost 50% higher than in other parts of the world. Crowdfunding relies on voluntary donations from the community to solve a particular problem. What does this initiative entail?
One of the objectives of this initiative is to find and develop alternative methods of financing environmental innovation projects. This crowdfunding pilot program is being launched on an area of 100 hectares for planting 100,000 saxaul seedlings.
You can become part of the solution. All you have to do is go to greenerylsea.org and donate. One saxaul plant costs only $1. Money can be donated using Visa and MasterCard, Uzcard, and Humosum cards.
Assalamu alaikum, first of all. As head of United Nations Development Program, and I'm particularly thrilled to have this launched of the Green Aral Sea initiative happening. This is something on which we have been working for some time and on which we worked as part of our broader work with the government on addressing the complex challenges of the Aral Sea. We have been very much supporting the government's initiative, the presidential, in fact, initiative for the concept to transform Aral Sea region into zone of environmental innovation and new technologies. We have been working on strengthening that concept, but also in trying to find opportunities how it can become reality. So part of that, of course, is looking for new integrated way of addressing the issues of Aral Sea, looking at it differently, bringing innovation, bringing new financing instruments.
Saxol is the ideal choice as it prevents the spread of toxic salts and desertification. One Saxol tree can secure up to 4 tons of sand. The long-term effect of this initiative will work to mitigate climate change and reduce carbon dioxide emissions in the Aral Sea region. The deserted seabed will transform into a forest of trees, improving biodiversity and benefiting the fragile ecosystem. The initiative will also help the local communities by creating long-term work opportunities for people in the Aral Sea region. The campaign already has its green champions, the first donors, among which are Huawei, Future Enterprise, Mac Coffee, UPL, and Webster University.
As part of our Tech for All global initiative, Huawei decided to assist the UN program in planting green spaces in the Aral Sea. And we are very happy this crowdfunding platform has been launched. We invite all our partners and residents of Uzbekistan to join this initiative, as it is important for sustainable development of the country.
Reviving the Aral Sea is now impossible, but the situation is not hopeless. With the help of environmentally conscious people, the desert will transform into a green oasis.
Beginning January 1, 2021, a new format of passports, ID cards, will be in effect in Uzbekistan. This innovation applies to citizens of Uzbekistan, stateless persons, and foreign citizens permanently residing in the country, as well as newborns. The old-style biometric passport will be considered invalid after January 1, 2030. The main aspects of the new passport system were described by the representatives of the Tashkent Interior Office.
From January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022, the replacement of biometric passports with an ID card will be carried out on a voluntary basis, but beginning January 1st, 2023, it will be mandatory for everyone. An ID card is a document certifying the identity and citizenship of its owner and is issued for a period of 10 years. The final design of ID cards is yet to be approved. It will be based on international standards. Starting from 2021, all citizens of the Republic of Uzbekistan must obtain foreign passports to travel abroad, regardless of the purpose of their trip.
Uzbek authorities are working to conduct an inventory of all trees in the country, cultivated and wild. According to the State Ecology Committee, each tree will be assigned a number and issued a corresponding ID card. The registration process is set to begin with trees in Tashkent next week. Special attention will be paid to areas most likely to be targeted for construction. Special clubs were opened in the German cities of Heidenheim, Gingen and Stuttgart to promote Uzbek Kurash in the international arena. Kurash is a form of upright jacket wrestling similar to judo, popular in Central Asia and Turkey countries. Currently, 80 young German girls and boys are being trained in the sport and learning the respective Uzbek terminology such as yonbosh, chala and halol.
Foreign Kurash clubs are supported by the International Kurash Association and the Consulate General of Uzbekistan in Frankfurt in collaboration with the German Wrestling Federation. Representatives of the Consulate General and the German Wrestling Federation recently attended one of the training sessions at a sports club in Heidenheim and discussed how to further develop the Uzbek national sport. The parties also discussed the possibility of opening more Kurash clubs in Bad Kissingen and Würzburg. The second all-German wrestling tournament is to be held in June this year with athletes from not only Uzbekistan and Germany, but Greece, Ukraine, Russia, and other European countries. The coaches and athletes who are active contributors to the promotion of the sport in Germany were awarded honorary diplomas and unique gifts from the Consulate General. At the ceremony, a student at the Heidenheim club, Burkan Dara, said he uses his free time to master the Uzbek Kurash and that he was drawn to the sport by its technical speed and the low injury rate. Each sport strengthens a person and his will. Uzbek wrestling also increases the speed and stability of the athlete. It energizes the body and invigorates a person mentally, he said.
And this was our last report. Thanks for watching and goodbye.